Hi everyone, good evening. I hope you're well. So welcome to the Fife Property Market Update. This is the update from the 2nd of April to the 8th of April, and it's the weekly roundup of what's driving the Fife Property Market, including a look at recent listings, what we've recently sold, and also our coming soons. And we're going to cover some of our articles, some podcasts, and some of the TV shows that we've written and produced this week as well. So welcome, Jim. How are you?
Yeah, perfect, actually. I'm excited about the update. We've got a lot of new properties coming on, which is really good. And also some of the wee secrets to give away while people are tuning in. This is the golden opportunity to learn it now. And it's just that hold tight. You're gonna find out these wee secrets. We don't divulge until just moments like this, especially when you talk about yesterday's show about boosting your sale price. Now, yesterday's show about boosting the sale price, I demonstrated clearly how somebody could sell their house without actually involving their estate agent at all. Mm-hmm. So tune into that one, listen to the podcast, and you get more insight into that. If anybody else wants to save their fees and wants to save their money and all the rest of it, tune into that show, boost your sale price, the best upgrades to bowl over buyers and sell your home for more. So that's on this post today. What other things have we got on, Perry?
Yeah, so we also, as well, I did a show on Thursday there about understanding why it takes 79 days to buy a Fife property. We talked about some tips on that, of how people could do that, and just so how they could manage their timeline. So again, the link to that podcast is on here as well, and the article's there as well if you want to read it. But it gave you a really good insight on how to prepare yourself and get yourself organised, and good expectations really of the timelines as well.
Absolutely. So what was the one big takeoff you got on that then? Why does it still take 79 days to buy a Fife house? Solicitors.
Yeah, that was the big takeaway really, and being organised.
And the key here is, I think, is to make sure when you're listing your property with the estate agent, is give your solicitor a heads up straight away. Yeah. Because they can speed up their process if they get all the titles, they get all the searches done, they get any property inquiry certificates done because you've done any alterations since you've had the house. You can get any letters of comfort done in case you've done any alterations. Some people actually put ensuite shower rooms in their bedrooms without actually realising that time has passed. However, you still should have got permission, a building warrant or something to that effect. That was okay to do. So sometimes you do a letter of comfort in order to allay that. That's why it takes on average 79 days to sell a Fife house, for that very reason. So you can speed that process up if you want. And again, that's on your information and on that blog that you actually did, and on the podcast as well, Perry.
Correct, absolutely. So lots of good information shared.
Let's get down to numbers and talk about the Fife property market and talk about what has been selling across the market this week. Now, quite interesting for me, I can actually see there in the Cooper area, actually 12 properties listed, but only 6 sold, 50% supply and demand. But Cooper's normally outperforming, isn't it?
Very much so. I think that's a bit of a surprise, actually, that only 50% of the properties that were listed were sold. But what that's saying though is, although you're seeing that 12 and 6, and we're saying what's sold, that 6 isn't necessarily actually out of that 12 either, Jim. I think that's a good thing to cover.
Yeah. So do you think people have had a rush in the Cooper area? KY14, KY15 is our Cooper area. So people have maybe had a rush to get their properties to the market and they're all coming at once?
I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a pickup of it, definitely. I think that the nicer weather's helping, Jim, as well, because it's brighter. The gardens are starting to look nicer, and people are just kind of getting organised, I think, for that summer move, aren't they?
Yeah, and then we've got East Neuk. You've got 2 versus 3, so no surprise there. East Neuk is always one area which actually doesn't list that much, but actually sells quite a lot as well. But the key indicator for me and these statistics, for example, St Andrews 4 versus 6, that's actually quite low for St Andrews week on week. But more importantly, actually 6 sold, which was more demand than there was supply in the St Andrews area, and the same with the East Neuk area. So this, the market's holding up quite well, isn't it?
The market is holding up quite well, and that's encouraging for St Andrews as well to see that they've sold more than they've listed this week, because actually the last couple of weeks we've seen in St Andrews the sales have not been quite as high. So actually it's nice to see that that's moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's encouraging.
Levenmouth as well now, we're 10 versus 8, which is quite fine for the Levenmouth area. Dunfermline 50 versus 49. That's actually quite surprising, because Dunfermline, with not a new build, actually that figure instructed is usually a bit bigger than the actual sold because of the new build. So that's quite interesting. St Andrews, Glenrothes is actually similar. Tends to be influenced a lot by the new build. Just to explain to people out there why we're saying about it's influenced a lot by the new build, because a lot of the builders, the new build builders like Persimmon, for example, Barrett, you've got Campion as well. They list on Rightmove their properties for sale, which appears in this figure in the instructed column, but they actually normally don't put sold on it, so therefore it doesn't register over here. Hence the reason why you sometimes get that disproportionate amount of 18 versus 15, which is maybe a couple of new build properties in there, but actually 15 sold. So if you strip out the new build to do like for like, it actually remains quite a stable market in terms of supply and demand. Kirkcaldy is another one that's like that as well, 37 versus 27. But this week, there's not that many new build in there, but I've got a funny feeling there's a lot of people actually on the market in order to get a new build, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think actually you'll see those figures in Glenrothes on the instructed improve, because those properties are starting to complete in the build as well on that big site that they're building in Glenrothes. So I think you'll see a bit of a shift in that as well.
Absolutely. And then overall, you've got 133 actually listed, which is about 7,000 on an annualized rate. Now, typically, that's actually a bit more than usual, because it's about 6.5 normally, 6,500 houses actually get listed every year, and round about the 6,000 actually get sold. And then 414 times 52 is just 6,000, just 5,928. So it's bang on 6,000. So what can we read out of that? Really, it's probably just quite a stable market overall, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it does read like that. And when you compare it to the update that we did last week, Jim, when we looked at the annual sales and completions, we were at about that 6,500. So it's pretty steady.
Yeah. Can I just talk a wee bit about interest rates and base rates? Because everybody thinks that they're going to go up. Now, it has been signalled by the Bank of England, because inflation was unexpectedly high in comparison to what they expected, that possibly base rates might go up when they do it on I think it's the 11th of May, is the Thursday. The Monetary Policy Committee actually decides. Now, if base rates go up, it doesn't necessarily mean to say that mortgage rates will go up. They will go up for variable rates. They will go up for tracker rates, but for fixed rates and for fixed rates especially, it's one of the indicators for me is actually quite important, is actually the return you're getting from the bank on your money in the bank. Because we're looking at base rates right now of 4.25%. However, you can still get 2 and 5 year fixed rate deals at 4%. How is that possible? Now, generally, it's because we've got a stabilisation in the monetary market in terms of the swap rates between banks. But more importantly as well, is like the interest rates you're getting on an interest account is actually quite low in comparison to the base rate, which means typically what banks do is fractional banking, which is actually they take your money in and they lend it out 10 times. And that's what that means. So if they're lending that out, bringing your money in at maybe say 1%, they can afford still to lend out at a fixed rate, because they're giving you that rate as well at the 4% or just under 4% for a 5-year deal. And they're still covering themselves because there's a margin there already created. And someone actually buys that deal from them, from the money market, and they actually lock themselves into that as well. So it actually stabilizes everything. And so overall, you've still got really good fixed rate deals out there for mortgages. So I would urge people out there, if you're on a variable rate, the last time I checked, it was something like 11,000 people, homeowners in Fife, were on a variable rate. 11,000 homeowners are paying about 7 or possibly 8% when they could be paying 4%, half of what they're paying right now in terms of interest. Now, if you take the average price of a house at 170,000 in Fife, which is here, and then multiply that by, say, for example, 80%, because that's the mortgage, 136,000, and multiply that by 0.04, you're literally paying another £5,500 in interest because you're on a variable rate.
And it's an unknown thing as well, Jim, isn't it? Because that's constantly changing, hence the word variable. So actually, you've got no control over your expenditure.
I think base rates are going to continue to go up. And look at it this way, inflation, when they think about inflation and how that should come down, we have just everybody put their prices up on the 1st of April. You know, all the utility companies, all the broadband companies, and you know, every man and their dog put their prices up on the 1st of April. So you're telling me that that's not going to have an inflationary effect on the actual, on inflation in the economy itself? Of course it is. So that's what makes me believe, even though there's a base rate rise probably coming in May, there possibly might be another base rate rise coming as well. And that's why I keep saying to people, if you're on a variable rate or a tracker deal, maybe consider fixing, because it gives you certainty for your cash flow if you're intending to stay in your house for a longer period of time. You could actually fix as well. You know, we know this. You can actually fix as well. I don't know if anybody else knows this. You could fix your mortgage rate as well, and there is a possibility that you can then port it to the next property you actually buy without having to pay a redemption penalty if you do it early.
Yeah.
We've had that as well. I had that with a Nationwide several years ago. They were happy to do that. Went on a 5-year fixed rate deal, 3 years into it, and they said, no bother, we can take that mortgage and we can just port the mortgage to the next property. If you want a further advance, we can add that onto it and do another deal with that as well. So that was actually quite good. But as I said before, speak to a mortgage broker. If you don't have a mortgage broker available, please feel free to message us. I'm more than happy to put you in touch with a mortgage broker who we use. Actually, it's quite local, and they're award-winning for their service and their products themselves. Whole of market mortgage broker, which means they actually look at the whole market. They're able to get access to mortgage products that sometimes the bank don't get themselves, and the reason, and they're actually less in terms of the cost to you, because they get access to them. How is that possible? Why would the bank not keep them for themselves? Because the bank are actually paying for someone in the bank to actually sell you that product. If they can save that money and they're paying somebody and actually sell it through a broker, and the broker takes all the liability off, they just give them a small cut, maybe 1/4% or 0.5% of the actual mortgage value itself, and that's all they get. So mortgage brokers are actually quite good to use that for getting deals that otherwise the banks wouldn't actually offer through their own services. Again, speak to a mortgage broker. That's the most important thing. Okay, let's crack on. What has actually been sold this week, Perry?
Yeah, so sold-wise, actually it's been a really busy week for what we've got coming on and what's been sold. So Holgate Street in Leven, this was a really popular one. This sold in 5 days, 2-bedroom upper apartment, really spacious, beautiful garden to the rear as well. And you had, to the left there, that whole drive and the timber garage also came with that property.
Wow, sold in 5 days. What was that on it?
5 days. So that was listed at offers over 70,000, Jim. And 2 other people did actually miss out on this property as well.
So two-bedroom upper flats and local authority flats in the Levenmouth area are going for 70,000 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
That's a really good price point. For anybody out there, this is the reason that we talk about this is not to say, oh, we've sold a house in 5 days. It's actually to give you an idea about what these properties are actually going for. So it gives you more of an idea about, you know, if that's the price that you would think, okay, that would be acceptable to me at that price, 70,000 from a 2-bedroom flat. That's why we tell you that information. What about the next one then? What's the next one that's actually sold?
So next one that sold as well, that was the Roundel in London Links. That sold in 2 weeks, as you can see. That was a 3-bedroom detached house, really spacious, lovely garden as well, south facing, great views. It was in a little cul-de-sac as well, Jim. So it was really idyllic, actually, the location of this one. And this one was listed at offers over 275,000.
Yep.
So new owners absolutely delighted. It's going to be their new family home, so they're thrilled.
Wow. Okay, 250,000. That's quite a good price point for these types of properties, isn't it?
Yeah, 275. I thought that was brilliant price point for this, because it's a lot of property you're getting with this one as well. Lots of living space downstairs.
Okay, so what have we got coming soon then? Let's talk about that while everybody's tuned in.
A really busy week for the coming soon. So we've got a property come up in the Cribs in St Monans. So that is a 4-bedroom terraced house. So looking forward to showing that one. We've got one coming in. I know
what happened with the Cribs the last time. Literally, someone from London immediately said, I'm going back to London. Can I see this property? Yes, we're round there like a rat up a drain pipe. And sold. Done, dusted, sold, gone. So if you're looking for the Cribs area of St Monans, please get in touch with us now. Message us direct. Send us an email, for goodness sake, because these properties won't hang around long. We have talked about this umpteen times, how people are actually still missing out on properties. There is maybe less demand, in other words, the audience that you've got for certain types of properties, but it only needs one person to buy it.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
exactly.
matter if you've got 100 people. If one person definitely wants it, it doesn't matter about the other 99. But the difficulty there as well is if what happens if 2 people want it? That's why you have to register with your estate, and that's why you have to get in touch with us. Because if the right property comes up, it is your dream home. You need to be quick and you need to jump on it.
Definitely. The last one we had on Cribs was really, really popular. Went
Yeah.
quick. Next one we've got coming up as well. This is a cracker. So this is in Langhouse Green in Crail, and this is a 3-bedroom detached bungalow, Jim.
Hence
Bungalow.
teeth.
Really, really beautiful. Lovely garden space with that one as well. And then we go to Douglas Terrace in Windygates. We've got a 1-bedroom upper apartment coming on in there as well. So we're doing a lot of apartments as well.
Good first-time buyer, buy-to-let property up there.
Yeah, fantastic. And then we've got one coming on in Station Road in Springfield, and that is a 3-bedroom detached cottage.
Wow. 1 level, or is it 2 levels, that one?
2 levels. And then
Yep, okay.
I have, but the next one's not. So the next one is Vetriano Vale in Leven, and that is a 3-bedroom detached bungalow.
Bungalow again, yeah. Okay. They'll be very popular. I mean, Vetriano Vale was originally built by Thomas Mitchell. Thomas Mitchell was a really good build quality. I had one myself, actually. I had number 6 years and years ago when they first came up for sale, or when they were first built, actually. So I know the build quality is really good. It's exceptional as well. So that's Vetriano Vale and Leven, 3-bedroom detached bungalow. Again, hence teeth. What else have we got coming up?
This one as well is lovely. Park Drive in Leven. It's got great views. It's on a great location, and that's a 2-bedroom terraced house, again with lovely garden space. We've got one coming on. Oh, this one is lovely as well. They're just all nice this time round. Fairfield Road in Collinsborough. That's a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. It is stunning inside, and the countryside views that come with this property are.
There's that word again, stunning.
Yeah, but honestly, Jim,
quite a popular word was.
It is though. It really is lovely.
Is it next to the Fife Coastal Path by any chance?
It is right next to it, actually. And it has sea views.
It's a short distance down the road in the car to the Fife Coastal Path and the Harbour Marine.
We live in a beautiful place. We're surrounded by the path.
Absolutely.
What can we do about it? And the next one and final one coming this week is Smitty Cottage as well, and that's in Knocker, and that is a 2-bedroom semi-detached cottage. And it is
now I know that quite well because I sold that the first time round.
We did.
It's a really nice house, the off-street parking for the 2 cars, and that huge open plan lounge, and that roof, that ceiling, the way that goes up, and you've got the brace and everything, and the timber, it all comes over.
It's really nice.
It's quite rare. It's quite unique for these styles of houses. So that's definitely good. And I love the back garden as well. And I like the fact that you've got that wee secret hideaway at the back, which could actually be a workshop for anybody out there.
It really could be. And you're right with how it is inside. It's almost kind of church-like inside. It really is great. It's a lovely property. And that's it for our coming soons.
And talk about we did a show during the week. I think we did Supla House Price Index, didn't we? And we talked about that during the week, and how the annual inflation is actually slowing house prices to about 4%, and prices are 1%. But prices are only 1% lower than they were in October 2022.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge difference in terms of prices. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, hold off. Prices are going to drop. They're going to drop dramatically," and it's like, I don't see that happening anytime soon. However, if you're going to be holding your house long term, the whole point is buying now is to skew your place on the property ladder. It's not to take a gamble with the price, because if it does start to go up, you can see here, we're on level pegging here. We've got a stable market right now between buyers and sellers. And look what happened after lockdown, how it just, everybody, it's going to drop. And it's like lockdown went boom. Well, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you don't know. And the key here is to actually hedge yourself and protect yourself against these massive swings by actually locking and securing yourself on the property market right now. So if your circumstances dictate that you should be buying a property or selling a property, now is the time to do it.
I would completely agree with that. And I think that there is an unknown with how potentially it will go, but actually as it's stabilised, take advantage of that stability as well just now, isn't it? And also interest rates while they are where they are. I think that's really important. And I think, as you said, you get some really great 2-year, 3-year and 5-year fixed deals out there. So people really need to be taking advantage of that just now.
this is quite an interesting one, because somebody said to me, "Oh, I'll just hang off for the next 6 months to actually, it's because property prices might drop about 5%." I went, "Okay, let's work this out then. If property prices drop 5%, you're only needing to buy, and your house that you're buying is what? It's it's 150,000. So 150,000, and then multiply that by 0.05. You'll save yourself £7,500 if you waited." And that did happen in 6 months' time. Remember, it might not happen. So if it doesn't drop 5%, you're no getting 7,500 off. But the key here is what's going to happen to interest rates in the next 6 months. And when inflation's still out of control, and with the war in Ukraine still going on, and with the Chinese actually, kind of teaming up with the Russians in terms of what they're doing, and then the Arab nations as well teaming up as well in terms of possibly dropping the dollar and actually using the Chinese currency as the standard exchange for oil prices, which could end up affecting the American market as well. But see, these are all things that could cause major volatilities, and that's why I keep saying to people, you're better to actually secure your place right now for that reason. But you would maybe save, go back to the example, you'd maybe save £7,500. But if interest rates, which are predicted, continue to rise, and therefore the fixed rate deals go out, well, you could see there right now, while I said the 4% on the average house price in terms of saving is £5,500 a year almost. So that means you're risking trying to get 7,500, possibly to lose 5,500 a year. Now, if you hold that house for 5 years, you'll possibly be paying, if you end up fixing a fixed rate deal because of you're forced into that circumstances, of paying an extra £25,000 more. Now, that's extreme. But I tell you what, would you want to take that risk as a house seller out there right now? And I'm really asking the people out there, and some people tuning in, would you want to take that risk of the fact that interest rates might affect things so badly that prices go up so much, or your mortgage goes up so much that therefore you're basically on the breadline in terms of where you are? So you never really want to get to that stage. I think it's important for people to realise that. That's an important thing to remember. So if anybody's wanting to know more information about that, please feel free to tune in to the Zoopla UK House Price Index that we did, the show. You can actually just click on this post on the link for that and listen to the podcast, or you can watch the show live as ever, like we do right now, and get an insight into where the UK property market is right now. The UK, and then we took it down to the Scottish market, and then we took it down to the Fife market as well. Right, okay. What is over the line? Let's talk about now. Let's talk about what was sold. Now, the reason that we talk about not what was sold subject to concluded missives, but sold, in other words, keys handed over, is so people now know, one, the price of the property that is going for, but more importantly as well, how much over the home report the property is, so they know what to offer on other properties because of the market stabilization. So this is why we talk about this, so people understand where the market is right now. So what is the first one? It's green loanings in Kirkcaldy. So what was green loanings in Kirkcaldy, and the time to sell, and did it achieve the home report value? You tell me.
Yeah, so green loanings in Kirkcaldy, that one was a 2-bedroom, Jim, wasn't it? That one on the home report wise, that sold on home report, it was an extra, how much, Jim?
It actually just sold under the home report, believe it or not. Yeah,
exactly.
So it sold in 4 months, this one. Now that's actually quite surprising. No estate agent would like to admit the fact that it takes longer to sell a house, but there was reasons behind that it took to sell the house. But it actually took that time. And then it sold under the home report value. I mean, the new owners are happy with their first home, so it went to a first-time buyer. But these things do actually happen, and it's the green loanings area of Kirkcaldy typically that happened. Wingfield Crail actually was an interesting one, a 1-bedroom ground floor flat. And again, we could flip it around now and say, well, that sold in 4 weeks.
Exactly. There is no rhyme and reason sometimes, is there? And that's sold for 4 weeks and actually sold for 6.4% over the home report.
£8,000.
Yeah.
It sold for £133,000. So a 1-bedroom ground floor flat in the Crail area, Wingfield, actually sold for £133,000. Perfect. Next one is Bonnygate and Cooper. Now, this was an interesting one. This is a 5-bedroom upper apartment. How did you get on with this one then?
This was another one sold in 4 weeks. So again, that's that 4-week window. And they sold for the home report price. So we've had an under, we've had an over, and we've had a for.
So it's at this point in time, we could assume that possibly properties right now are probably going for home report value or just above or possibly just below, round about there. So that's probably the expectation in the market right now. And I don't necessarily think that's anything down to lack of demand. I think it's more down to the prices in the boom have now caught up to the prices that they are now. So these properties were valued with the increase already included of the 30% over the last 3 years.
Correct.
So they were getting the true value for the property because you can't, there has to come a time where it runs out of steam. And the fact that the properties, it can't go up 10, 15, 20% every single year because then you would never be able to afford anything. Nobody would be able to buy anything.
Exactly.
Everybody would be priced out of the market. But more
this was a really interesting one for that reason though, Jim. The fact that it didn't get priced out of the market. And I think as well, what was really good about this one, I mean, this was offers over 140. It went for the home report, but actually it was an upper apartment. It was 5-bedroom. It was a really spacious upper apartment, but it was actually on with another agent for 5 months and didn't sell.
That's right. I remember this one. So how on earth, I just don't get that. How on earth could it be on for 5 months with another agent and then we take it on and sell it in 4 weeks? How's that possible?
And it was popular.
I thought all agents were the same. I'm being sarcastic here, folks. It's down to marketing, isn't it? It's down to clever marketing and clever retargeting in terms of social media.
Agree.
Yeah, okay. That makes absolute sense to me. You know, I think it's important to understand that and what's behind that. So it went for more or less the home report value, but it did sell in 4 weeks, which actually allowed the owner to actually have that peace of mind that they were able to move on. Now the keys have been handed over, done and dusted. They'll be as happy as Larry, especially after sitting on 5 months with another agent and they couldn't actually sell the property. So that's quite that's a good example of how we are not all the same. And that's probably clearly demonstrated that. So Main Street in West Wales is the next one. Now, this was a 2-bedroom ground floor flat. Now, I'm quite interested in this one because of the point, ground floor flats are usually quite popular because the elderly population usually downsize into them. So how did we get on with this one then?
So this one, as you say, 2-bedroom ground floor flat. It sold in 3 weeks, Jim. And it sold over the home report as well by 5.3%. Which
is another £4,000. Job done, fees covered. So basically they got us for nothing.
Pretty much.
When you think about the logic of that, fees covered, cash back in the exercise, you got us for nothing. Because you got the home report value, and it sold for £79,000. That was a really good price for a 2-bedroom ground floor. I mean, because it's quite interesting because 2-bedroom ground floor in West Wales, 79,000, 2-bedroom upper and leave-in. What was that on it? And what did that sell? Yep. Hoggate Street was on it. You said 70,000, was it?
Yep, and it's sold for 70. Yep, that was on at 70.
Perfect. Okay. So that sold in 3 weeks over the home report value. New owners loved their first purchase. Again, first-time buyers. We see first-time buyers in the market still. The mortgage availability is still there for them, which is really good because remember, everything feeds from the bottom of the market and actually feeds up to the top of the market because the first-time buyers, investors as well, are important to come in because they sometimes keep the market sustained and up when it's flat. So they invest as well in the first-time buyer territory or in the flats and that allows then the people in these ones to actually upgrade to the mid-market and the people in the mid-market to upgrade to the top-end family home market. And then the people in the top-end family home market tend to come back down to the lower ground floor and bungalows, which is why it's important to actually build more bungalows. For that natural cycle of life in terms of the property market to happen. Next one, Kelsey House in Auchtermuchty.
Yep, so Kelsey House in Auchtermuchty, this was a 2-bedroom upper apartment, sold in 4 weeks, sold for over home report on this one as well at 3.3% over.
That surprised me. Do you know why? Because I've seen loads of these properties come on in the past with other agents and they've sat for ages. I know one person in particular I know it actually sat with another agent, and they were on social media all the time saying, "Could everybody share my flat because it's just no shifting?" And it was actually on at less than this value that we sold it for. So that was about a year ago. So that's quite interesting. But that's quite typical for the Kelsey House Arthurmurty area in terms of these flats for that reason. But remarkably, sold in 4 weeks, and it sold higher than the home report, as you said, sold for 124,000.
Absolutely.
Down
And it was a really, really nice apartment, actually. It was upper level and it had beautiful countryside views. And I think that was the selling point for that one, Jim. It was beautiful.
But this is quite interesting. Again, this is the downsizer. This is the circle completing itself. So we need a good steady flow in all tenures and all types of tenures and all types of ownership as well. Last one for me was quite a good one as well. Was Dury Street in Leiden, Horta Cottage, 5-bedroom detached house. Now, I remember doing this walkthrough in P-Portal on this. This was a great one because it had that garage away down at Rose Terrace.
Yep.
Which was ideal for anybody that just wanted storage. Equally, the back garden was amazing as well. South facing, sat in the sun all day long. That massive swimming pool.
I know.
I'll just go in and do my laps. No point in going down to the other one, to the swimming pool itself. But it actually sold. This is a benchmark. It sold within the standard period average time, which is around about 2 months to sell a property. And it sold for the home report value, which was 290,000. Again, re-emphasising the fact that prices aren't going astronomically over. So buyers understand that, and so sellers understand that, and have to be realistic about where the market is. So that's where things are right now. What else have we got coming up this week? Let's have a wee look at just quickly. Wealth creation. Are you got any more to say, Perry? Or we're going to go into the wealth creation show and talk about that?
Wealth creation show is really the next big event that we've got coming up. That's going to be tomorrow. You're doing that?
I'll actually grab this now. So the reason I'm doing the wealth creation show tomorrow, I'm flying tomorrow back from Spain. So I won't be doing it at the normal 12:30 time for anybody tuning in, Gary. If you're tuning in and you're listening to this, we're doing it at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Richard and I, because I'll not be back for the 12:30 slot. So we're moving it to 7 o'clock. We'll be live again on all the channels, and we're going to be talking about atomic habits. This is it, Atomic Habits, James Clear. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a wee bit through this, and I'm just finishing a couple of chapters. And it's quite interesting because these are all the things that I actually did in the first place when I first started out in property investment and wealth creation about 30 years ago. And he calls them atomic habits. And what it is, it's just these 1% improvements every single day. Now, anybody can do this. I mean, you're talking to basically, I started as a window cleaner, and I managed to do it. So you're not telling me anybody else can't do it. So this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, Richard and I, about atomic habits, about achieving your goals, creating good habits. Believe it or not, actually, it is not a good idea to create a goal, and I'll tell you tomorrow why. It's like, wow, good job. It is not a good idea to create a goal. That is, and I'll talk about it tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Why that is the case, but it's quite an interesting one because we're all told to set goals all the time. But then I will divulge tomorrow night about why you shouldn't set goals and what you should do in its place. Okay. Which is basically what I did.
You were talking though about there, that want to kind of take you maybe down the journey of the show, but I was interested just in a comment that you made there when you said that this is sort of the things you're reading about or the things you were doing 30 years ago. But when you read them now, does it feel fresh and re-energize your mind or?
Every time.
Every time.
I have been reading for the last 35 years. I've been reading every single day almost for the last 35 years. That is remarkable to think. My library is actually huge. But every single book I've read, and some of them I've reread, like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, I've read over 50 times. It is the Oracle of Omaha is Warren Buffett, and he talks about this all the time about compounding and how it's the 8th wonder of the world, compounding. And how important compounding is to wealth creation in anything. I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about just compounding in anything. If you want to be the best athlete, think about what you need to do in terms of compounding. You need to go out and train every single day in order to be the best athlete. I mean, an Olympic athlete doesn't just get off the couch and go, hey, I've won gold medal. It's years of dedication, and it's these wee atomic habits. It will make that fundamental difference, and that's why we thought we'd start talking about atomic habits tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show with Richard and I, and discuss and tell people what they can do and what they should do in order to get to where they want to get to. By the way, success is a journey. It's not a destination, and it will always be something that you will keep going at, regardless. But how do you fit that in so you don't become demoralized? This is what Atomic Habits is all about tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, 7 o'clock, remember, tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about...
That's a new time slot,
Yeah. Okay, that's me.
That's me.
Perfect. Okay, hopefully, just let me just quickly look, see if there's any questions. New look into social media, correct staging and decorating. Yeah, okay. Jimmy actually comes in and says here, social media, correct staging and decorating got Bonnygate sold. That's how Bonnygate happened in terms of there. So that was the most important thing for him. Got that to happen. And that's us. Okay. Thank you very much for coming on and tuning in.
Thank you.
And until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.